Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelly and today I'm going to be doing my August 2025 reading wrap up. So August is almost over. This is the last day and I know I'm not going to finish the book that I'm currently reading, so I thought I would just go ahead and wrap everything up while I have a moment. We're going to start with Joy in Christ's Presence. This is of course by Charles Spurgeon, and this is my favorite Spurgeon I've read so far. I think that just the depth of joy in the book. I mean, the part that touched me the most was when he was talking about the lady that touched Christ's robe that had the bleeding disease for years, and how, we should all try to be reaching for Christ as much as that woman was. But she probably had to fight through the crowd, and that stuck with me. I think it's beautiful. The next book I completed was The Road Past Altamont, and this is by Gabrielle Roy. And this was a gift from Dia, who has enjoyed several of her works. It's a little bit hard for me to come across them because what my library has is not translated in English. It's actually in the original French. So Dia sent me this as a surprise, and I really have enjoyed reading it immensely. I love it. It's about a girl named Christine, and there's different short stories in there. The first story is about how her grandmother is getting older. She's losing her memory, and it's how Christine is able to connect to her grandmother. Sorry about that. I had to take a little cough break. Anyway, Christine is able to connect to her grandmother, who is harsh, and she is not connecting with people well anymore if she did in the past. And there's a particular instance where the grandmother is making a doll for Christine and sewing it and putting all of herself and all of her love in it. There's just time where Christine understands that her grandmother has lost all her abilities, and that the kindest thing she could do is show her glimpses of the past. And I just love that. My favorite story was the second one in the book, and this is when she connects with an older gentleman in the area. There's a lot about her and her mother as well, when her mother's getting older. So it's taking her through younger, a little bit older, and then adult. Christine has a lot of wanderlust, but she also wants to be connected to the people where she is. And so she's fighting against that. And I think that Gabrielle Roy dealt with it beautifully. I really enjoy it. So thank you, Dia. All right, next. I have thought for years that if this got out in the public, that my Oklahoma card would be taken away and my reader card. What's even worse is that I have also not read The Grapes of Wrath. So that could also have my Oklahoma card and my reader card taken away. But I finally did read this, and I read it with my daughter, and I loved it. The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. Of course, the story of The Outsiders is not the Tulsa I grew up with. But thankfully, this is a story about brothers. Pony Boy is, and because probably all of you have read it but me, I knew, of course, what the story is about. The Outsiders was the first grown-up movie I was ever shown, being an Oklahoma girl and having, many of the landmarks around me being the site of the movie filming. But it's about Pony Boy. He loves books. He loves reading. He is a greaser, and the Socias hate the greasers, and it's about a brotherhood. There are people, of course, who are doing crimes, acting badly, but it's about a brotherhood. It's about trying to hold on to the good parts of your childhood when your childhood's not easy. It's about friendship. It's about overcoming. It's about understanding that even the rich kids on the other side of the tracks, they have trouble too. Of course, I grew up with a Tulsa that was full of ballet and opera and trips to beautiful parks and museums, which Tulsa is also known for, but there still is a fair amount of crime in Tulsa. So it was very interesting, and I really love how this book is gritty without a lot of language. You can understand what happened without going too far. And I think that that is a skill that a lot of authors have lost today, getting the grit while keeping it relatively clean. I had a moment where a whoopsie moment where my daughter and I were going to watch it, and my younger kids were in their room too. And I don't have any little kids, so let's be clear. And then I remembered that I'd probably only seen this movie on made-for-television network TV because the S.H. word was in it. I was like, oh, whoopsie. But actually, I think that was the only time it was in it. Yeah, it's such a good book. And not really the kind of book I normally gravitate towards, gritty gang type stuff. But there was such a beauty and a realness to it, and I highly recommend it. Okay, Courtney Reeds and I, Betty, read this book together, The Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I have read A River Enchanted by her and really enjoyed it. That was an adult fantasy, and this is geared for a YA audience, and there was so much I loved about this book. The fantasy was so well done. We have a world where there are two gods that have kind of come back to life, and we're kind of have a World War II feel in like a newsroom, and there are two rival reporters battling it out, but they have a connection. And I don't want to say too much because I don't want to ruin it. I loved everything almost about this book, except there was what Courtney and I both would consider, I think a lot of people would not consider this an open door sexual encounter, but an open door sex scene is when, two characters get together and it doesn't immediately fade to black, basically. And I would call this like a soap opera scene where it was two married virgins on their wedding night. And it does not go into graphic detail whatsoever. But there was taking clothes off described. And I feel like that's not necessarily appropriate. That's not appropriate in a book that is targeted for children. So it was not, like I said, graphic at all. But this is a book that is targeted towards children. Now, the characters themselves are technically adults and they're teens and they were married. But still, again, a book targeted for children. So except for that, I would be like, oh my gosh, I love this book. I might check out, I won that book for free from a local bookstore. I won't be purchasing the next book. I won't be letting my daughter read this book, but I was so disappointed because until that, I would have let her read it. So she would have loved it. I might check it out from the library, and if it has another scene like that, just page flip. But yeah, she was disappointed too because she would have loved it. All right, I read this because I love my child book, The Quest of the Diamond Sword. I read this to my 10-year-old in our pre-bedtime reading, and he loved it. He loves Minecraft, and he loved this book, and I am so glad he enjoyed it. And that's all I'll say because I didn't really like it, but he loved it. So if you have a Minecraft lover, there's nothing wrong with it. It was just not written in a way that I enjoyed. So, but if you have a Minecraft lover and you want to get them a book, The Quest for Diamond Sword by Winter Morgan is one that they will enjoy for sure. And then my middle child, who is 13, and I finished the Magisterium series. The last book in the series is The Golden Tower. And as I've described before this, I can't say too much about this series, but it has a Harry Potter feel, but there's something that's a big twist that makes it very different. You have a kid that didn't know that he had magic going to magic school and things blow up. And the twist of the series is the best part. I can't say anything about it. And that is written by Cassandra, Clare, and Holly Black. All right. So we listened to The Golden Bull by Marjorie Cowley. And we listened to this because at the beginning of our homeschool year, we started the last week that was the last few days of July that went into the beginning of August. And this was really good at kind of giving us a taste of what early Mesopotamia was like, how, you could be taken as a slave if you weren't careful, and you were a child and you were away from your parents, how people were starving and famine at this time, what it was like, the gods that they worshipped, and and this boy becomes an apprentice to a goldsmith. He has a younger sister he's trying to protect, but she doesn't technically have a job in so that would mean that technically she would be sent out among the slaves. So it was not anything that was just the most amazing thing ever, but it was really well done in giving us a little glimpse and a little taste about what ancient Mesopotamia and life in and life in, trying to be outside of the city, growing food, and just basically you're at the verge of starving was like. And the kids had their attention for the most part. No one would call it their favorite though. All right, and last but certainly not least, for some reason I had never exposed my kids to Roald Dahl before. And so of course we listened to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and I was kicking myself that, what a classic. We hadn't really done any of his before now. They absolutely loved it. They loved just how funny it was. It's just so much more funny than the films to them too. And the Oompa Loompas just made them giggle and laugh. And I feel like if you have only watched the movie with your kids, you really need to read the book with them. And if you've only seen the movie yourself, do yourself a favor, bring out your inner child and read Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So that's what I read in August. Let me know what you read. How are you doing? How was your summer? Are you ready for fall and some cooler weather? I hope that all is well in your world. Read a lot. Bye-bye.